Okay, thank you, Rajaram. Thank you, Shirata. Thank you, everybody. So good morning, and welcome to this session on AI for good and evil. So actually, I suspect all of you have played around quite a bit with AI. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on how AI is a tool, but it's also a very dangerous tool, which you all need to get a sense of what works, what doesn't work, and where things can go very, very badly wrong. So I'll be telling you about this. This is very much a part of what you will all have to work with and live with in your lives and careers. And so I think it's a good idea to get started with it now. So just for the practicalities, I pointed you to this directory there, which has some data files that you'll be playing with over the course of the morning. This is very much of a hands-on thing. As Rajaram was saying, we ran this as a full semester course, and I've really tried to condense some of the essential things into a very, very brief morning session with you. But you should go away with this with a flavor of what you can do and how you have to sort of retain your own thinking despite all of the capabilities of the AIs. So let's get started. Yeah. So where's the pointer? Okay, so yes, we've introduced our TAs, and many thanks especially to Shirish for putting together the data files which you will be analyzing. So these are the main topics I'll be covering. I'll talk about data gathering and summaries, scientific writing, graphs and statistics, coding, scientific tools, and legalities and ethics. But throughout this, you're going to see both the good and the evil. You're going to see what works, what doesn't work, and where things go horribly wrong. And I think that getting started with this is perhaps one of the most obvious things where you can see that it's an incredibly powerful tool, and you can see also where things can go very horribly wrong. And that is deep research. So how many of you have used the deep research tools either from Gemini or from OpenAI? I see about half of you have done that. Okay, so we're going to start with that. Navigate to your favorite AI. It can be Gemini or it can be OpenAI's ChatGPT. Please do that now. And open it up in deep research mode. And then ask it to give you a summary of the latest findings or whatever in any topic you like. I've just suggested a few possible topics, but you're all doing science. You can think of things that are scientifically interesting for you. And I want you to exercise it, tell it to generate for you a fully cited, of course, summary of the latest work in this area. This will take you 5 minutes. Okay, so just do it. So I'm using Gemini right now. I've clicked on the deep research option. As I said, you can use OpenAI as well. Yeah. So those of you who are interested in astrophysics will know that Eta Carinae is one of the most beautiful stars known, or remnants of a star known. It is the remnant of a supernova explosion many, many centuries ago. Okay, so I've just asked it to do a research summary for this. So this is the kind of thing that you can do, but it doesn't have to be limited to research. I've used deep research, for example, to get me the best prices for ultrasound transducers. from around the world, and it can do that also. So this deep research is what's called an agent. That means you tell the AI that you have a certain task. It goes and browses the web for you. It reads the web. It gives you a summary, and it gives you the citations of everything it's found. Yeah. So this is the kind of thing it does. It tells you, I'm going to give you a research plan. So this is not a bad one. And it gives you a summary of what it plans to do. Yeah. And this is actually a very, very good summary. And I'll say start research, and off it goes. Yeah. And as I said, this will take about 5 minutes. So I hope you've all gotten and picked some topic of your interest. Have you done that yet? Have you gotten to the deep research webpage? Good. Make sure you click the deep research flag, either in ChatGPT or in Gemini, so that you're doing a deep research analysis. This is what will trigger the running of the agent to do this. Yeah. So this is the kind of thing that it does for you. So go ahead. As I said, there are a zillion topics. I suggested a few of them, but you're scientists. You should think of topics that interest you. Anything under the sun, or even outside the sun, if you want to be astrophysics. So what are you studying? What was your topic? Quantum dots. Excellent one. Research. No? No. You need to go to ChatGPT. Try this one. Yeah. Try ChatGPT. Just say do deep research on such and such. Yeah. Okay, which topic have you chosen? Eta-RNA, okay. But I've already done eta-RNA, so you should do something different. Okay, good. What's your topic? Oh no, don't use eta-RNA. I mean, it's a beautiful star, but do something different. Those of you, okay, you three all need to be sitting next to a computer. I don't want you doing it on your phones. This won't work. You should then go, you should bring it. But everyone has to be sitting next to a laptop. It can be 2 or 3 per laptop, but you have to be sitting and watching what's going on, okay? Please do not try to do this class on your phone. CAR T therapy, very interesting. Okay, cool. Semiconductors, brilliant. It's loading it. Okay, we're running into network issues here. What did you do? Supermassive black holes, cool. Nuclear fusion, brilliant. But you want to do a deep research study. This is just a very generic thing, yeah. Deep research, so the difference between deep research and just doing a regular thing is that deep research will actually set off an agent which will go and read the various sources of information around the web, yeah? And then it will summarize that and come back to you. Yes, this one, so which one have you chosen?
Carbon dots.
CAR T therapy. Oh, quantum dots, what?
Carbon dots.
Carbon?
Dots.
Carbon dots, okay, fantastic, whatever that is. What is it? Okay, you'll be able to tell us. Excellent. And what have you done?
Science of life in the universe. It was discovered recently.
Okay, excellent. Galaxies, very good. Magnetic confinement of fusion. Tablet is okay. It has enough place. Okay. looking at nuclear fusion. So is it giving you citations? That's the most important thing, yeah? Because it really needs to, yes, see, yeah? But, okay, I'll discuss the how you fine tune it in a little bit. Cool, what did you work on? Another person doing nuclear fusion. What did you do? Sorry? Neutrino oscillations. Oh, very nice. Okay, great. Neutron stars. Very nice. And has it given you real things, or just given you popular science things? Okay, so you may need to fine tune it. So many of you will find that your deep research is just digging up popular science. Yeah, you can tell it, say, redo this search with peer-reviewed research articles. And what you will get will be much more serious material, much more grounded in the experiments, and also probably need a lot more digestion. But that's the real stuff that as scientists you want to go after. Popular science stuff is great, but there's a whole lot of garbage masquerading as popular science. Okay, so if you want to do a deep research thing seriously on a scientific topic, tell it to go for the primary peer-reviewed scientific literature. Does everybody know what the peer-reviewed scientific literature is? No, okay, I should tell you this. Okay, I'll tell you that in a moment. Nuclear fusion? Nuclear fusion. What are you looking at? Battery technology.
Tariff policies.
What? Tariff policies. Okay, great. Okay. What are you guys doing? Dark matter. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm looking up how you charges on like hardware map to magnet how okay, so how charges and magnetic property maps to functions on computer.
Okay. ATAC RNA, more ATAC RNA. Oh, ATAC RNA is going to be done to death over here. Yeah. Oh no, do something different. But tell it to do the primary literature, peer-reviewed literature. Oh, brilliant. It's a great topic. Yes?
I didn't understand we are supposed to search anything else. So I searched for multiple.
That's very good. That's perfect. That's perfect. You should definitely get your charger, otherwise your computer will go to sleep. But you're going to miss a few minutes, but you run. Okay, did you choose something cool? Doing? That's good. SAGE, that's fun. What is it? That's right. What are you doing?
Dark matter.
No, very good.
Battery technology.
Battery stuff, yes. Titan's atmosphere, that's very nice.
Fireflies when blink, they start to synchronize.
Oh, very nice. Firefly synchronization, that's good. Yeah. What are you doing? What topic are you doing? Huh? Semiconductors, very nice. Ah. What topic are you doing? Organic? Oh, very nice. Ah, good. Hi.
I'm trying to see how Einstein came across his frame of reference theory of relativity, what made him think about it.
Okay, that'll be, I think it'll find it difficult, but that's a very good challenging topic. Why will it find it difficult, do you think?
I think it's because this got something to do with electrodynamics.
No, but the AI will find it difficult. think about why AI will find it difficult. Okay, so some interesting points have come up, and let me just brief you on them. So one of the things I said was that you should avoid popular science. You should go for peer-reviewed research articles. And you can tell the AI to do this. So peer-reviewed science is the foundation for science. What that means is that when I or any of the scientists here write an article, we send it out and we do the best we can. Then we send it out for a process called peer review. We send it to a journal, and then the journal finds 2, 3, 4, some number of other scientists whom we don't necessarily know about, and they will look at it and critique it. This comes back to us. They may say that what you've written is brilliant. It can be published. That almost never happens. Yeah? They can also say what you've written is terrible. Trash it. Hopefully, if we've done a good job, that won't happen. Usually what happens is they come up with very, very good, thoughtful comments and suggestions. And they say, you should really have done this. You should have really have considered this issue. Your writing here is hopelessly unclear. And then that feedback comes to us, and then we work on the paper and we improve it. But what this process does is it means that every idea that you're trying to propose, every theory, every experiment, is evaluated by your peers, by your scientific colleagues, in a critical but constructive manner. And this is a very, very good error correction device. It isn't perfect, but it's very, very good. And this is the foundation of modern science. That is, science goes that, of course, you have to do, you have to test and disprove hypotheses. That's the starting point. But all your publications, everything you say to the world has been through this process of very rigorous filtering, unlike the popular press or popular science articles, right? Which is why scientists actually are not very happy if one of their colleagues says, oh, I have a brilliant new invention, and runs to the press. Because that is sort of a recipe for disaster. That means that any person who thinks they're brilliant will go out and say that I did something wonderful, and later it turns out to be false, and then it completely muddies the scene. For example, many years ago, probably before most of you were born, there was this claim of cold fusion, which my colleagues will nod and about Riley. So this was, I think, the University of Utah. So some scientists there claimed that they had come up with a way of accomplishing nuclear fusion, which powers the sun, in a test tube at room temperature. And there was a huge amount of press and all that and publicity. And in the end, it was extremely embarrassing for the field because it was just wrong. It was plain wrong. They had done their measurements poorly. And this is the kind of thing which scientific peer review checks and removes from the scientific literature. Yeah? Had they gone through peer review, they'd have been told this is nonsense. Do your experiments properly. And it would never have happened. So that's why I'm saying when you use deep research, if you're doing a scientific research topic, do it properly, use the peer-reviewed literature. Tell the AI that you want that. Otherwise, you're going to get all sorts of stuff. For example, vaccine skepticism has all sorts of nonsense out there on the web. And if you set deep research to search for why do vaccines not work, they'll produce all sorts of utter unscientific garbage. And they'll give you the citations for it, and they will also be garbage. You want to go for the scientific peer-reviewed literature for this reason, okay? If you're doing any serious research topic. So here you've already run into, in the very, very first assignment I've given you, you've run into a demonstration of the dangers of using AI blindly, yeah? Deep research is a marvelous tool. It's an excellent way to hoover up information that you may not have been aware existed. And it's also an excellent way of hoovering up all sorts of garbage that you didn't know existed. Okay, so use it well, use it critically. So I've heard some marvelous topics. Have most of you gotten to see the research summaries that it generated? Okay, how many of you did the second filter of scientifically validated peer review? A few of you did. So now, what did you get to see when you went to the scientific peer-reviewed literature? More tightly related to the topic and its scientific papers. You'd also find that, so now the nice thing about deep research is it goes right to it gives you a list of all the sources, yes? And in your case, it will have given you scientific papers. And of course, scientific papers are not necessarily easy to read. You have to be somewhat of an expert in the field, but they are rigorous. And so anything that you say will be at least based on a fairly well filtered, fairly well analyzed set of results, as opposed to the popular literature, which is marvelous. I mean, we want to popularize science, but there's also a lot of garbage out there. Okay, especially, unfortunately, I'm a neuroscientist. The field of psychology is full of garbage. Pop psychology is, okay, I shouldn't be too broad in my statements. It's not complete garbage, but it's a very high fraction of garbage. Okay, so if you want serious stuff, use serious literature. Lesson number 1 for doing any deep research. So, how many of you have gotten a complete deep? Most of you should have a complete deep research summary by now. Yes, hands up. Good. Is it cool to see that it's gone through, it's read it, it's told you about it? How many of you have used this before? I'd asked this already. A few of you have used this before, but now remember to use the additional filters. Now, can someone tell me what are the dangers of using this kind of a tool, other than it might hoover up all sorts of garbage? What's the big danger? Mathematical data, in what way is that a danger? Okay, that's an interesting point. So some topics may simply be too hard for it to do a good job. That's a good one. I've actually not run across that one before. Very good. But there's a much more pervasive danger which everybody among you will undergo. Yeah.
It might lead you to think from their perspective and
Okay, very good. I really wanted to hear it from the class. So what was that? What was that big danger point? Others' perspective. Okay, that's a problem. But the really big danger, as he pointed out, is you will use it instead of thinking for yourself. Yeah? And remember, AIs can get it very wrong. You can also get it wrong, but you can at least go back to the original sources and think about what's being there. If you let the AI replace you, then the AI will replace you. Getting what I'm saying? Yeah? If you let the AI do your thinking, then everything you do can be replaced. So think, deep research is a very powerful tool. I use it a lot. But use it as a tool. Do not use it as a crutch. And certainly do not use it as a replacement for your brain. Okay? And it can be used for many things. I mean, this is just the beginning of the era of what are called AI agents, which is earlier you used AIs to talk to and a few help you code a little bit. But now you can use AIs as little robot servants for you, which can go out and do things. So currently this AI is going out and doing things on the web. It's searching the web. It's reading stuff, it's digesting it and giving back to you. But it'll be used for all sorts of things. It can be used, for example, if you're really feeling very brave and want to expose your bank account, it can do bookings for you. Yeah? It can suggest hikes you might want to take. It can do all sorts of things for you. It can, in due course, there are already experimental AIs out there which use these interfaces to talk to robots. And so you can control a robot through an AI and tell it do this, that, the other. Okay, let's hear of another danger of using deep research. other than causing your brain cells to decay? Well, it's a limitation at this point. It's a fairly serious limitation. And maybe you would, I think those of you who are really into a topic will have started to spot from what it's reported to you. When you went through their summaries, did they look like good summaries? Yeah? Did they look like awesome summaries? That's actually a very important consideration and an ethical one, which means that those in the world who are not as fortunate enough to get access to even to the internet at all, or to the advanced versions of the AIs, will be left behind. And a lot of research papers are behind a paywall. Okay, there's a funny thing there. I'll come back to that. Okay, so that means that, but for your purposes, this means that what the AI gives you will only be open access material. That's a limitation. Good. Any other limitations? In summarizing things, it may cut down on important topics. And how would you define an important topic? How would your summary differ from its summary? Very good. Right, so the AI did not necessarily include something important. And I think that sort of touches on the other point I was getting to, which is the AI is not actually intelligent. It is doing a kind of a very clever but not intelligent word processing analysis of the text in there. Okay? But that means that very often what it gives you back is a superficial analysis. It's read the papers, quote unquote, read them. In other words, it's digested a lot of text and it's spit out text for you to look at based on what it's read, but it's typically only read the abstract. It hasn't read the detailed points. And it may not even have spotted crucial parts of the paper which you should, as a scientist, you really need to know about. So it will get you started. It'll give you a list of good papers. It'll give you a general idea of what's happening. But it's for you to go in and read and pick out when things are not quite right, or when the authors have done something really especially clever, ingenious, to make their case, have done a particularly good experiment. Yeah? So an AI is limited in that manner. Now, let me get back to your point about access, open access, and paywalls. So this is a huge issue. It's the digital divide at many levels. But here's an ironical statement. Yeah, and I'll say this many times in this class. The AIs, all of them, are the result of the biggest intellectual property theft ever perpetrated in history. Yeah? They have stolen everything they've got. Everything is stolen. Okay? The ironical thing is that now that the lawyers are after them, they are not going to things behind a paywall because other companies are starting to sue them. But they have stolen everything. They have, the literature they have read is from a collection of books which have been lifted out of copyright, which you can get. I won't tell you what that collection is. There's now 3 or 4 volumes, which are pretty much all of human literature. For scientists, actually, this is a really ironical thing because scientists want our work to be freely available. And there's also another layer of intellectual property theft which the big publishers have imposed on the scientists. That is, they put our work behind a paywall. Our work is paid for by our governments and by philanthropies. It's not paid for by the publishing companies. How is it that they own the scientific papers we write? Yet they do. Okay, so there's a very, very big issue there. And the weird thing is that, have you ever, any of you heard of Sci-Hub? Yes, you've heard of it. Okay, this was an attempt to break this very, to my mind, immoral appropriation of human intellectual output by the publishing companies. So Sci-Hub has had to go underground because all the lawyers go after them. So the funny thing is that if you ask the AI just right, it will go to Sci-Hub for you. Yeah? The biggest criminal in intellectual property will go out to the smallest criminal, not even a criminal, it's a criminal by modern legal definitions, to do this. But on paper, they try to pretend that they're very ethical. Okay, so that's a very big evil. That's sort of the, as they say, the original sin of AI is that it is all stolen. Okay. It does not. Not 1 rupee of it goes to the scientist. It all goes to the publisher. Then you have the whole open access model, which is also got its problems. Yeah, so the publishers claim that they are doing a service to, they're doing a service, that they're helping to run the peer review process, all of that. That is 99% nonsense. Okay, they are making lots of money. Yeah, Springer Nature is worth billions of dollars. It's an incredibly big company. And it's done so by sort of collecting the scientific output that all of us have done. And anyway, I'm ranting and I've already spent 40 minutes of your time. Okay, so this was lesson number 1. Yeah, we've only done lesson number 1.1 of about 6 lessons. So let's move on. Okay, so you all got a sense of deep research. You all got a sense of good, and I hope you got a sense of evil as well. Yes? Let's move on. Okay, scientific writing. So here's another very risky topic, as all of them are with AI. You can use the AI to write for you. It's actually very good at writing. Not surprisingly, it's stolen all the literature ever produced, and so it's got all of that as a template with which to write. So let's look at a few of the parts of this, right? So here's the theory of how you do it. First, you steal a lot of stuff. That's step number 1. Then you do a lot of cleaning and all that. This is all automated now, standard stuff. There are various technical things, and then you train. This short word here is actually the big part. This is what they spend tens, hundreds of millions of dollars doing, just training the AIs. There's a bit of fine tuning, and then you do something called generation. So now all of this has just been learning what's out there, reading all of the literature, all of the text, now in all of the languages. And now you can generate stuff, and you can specify things, length of what you want to generate, what style you want to generate. I'm sure you've all played with the AIs and got it to generate poetry for you, right? Yeah? It's surpassingly bad poetry, but there was anyway, I'll show you, there's a recent study on that topic, which is also surpassingly worrying because it tells you about human taste. Anyway, I'll come to that. So you choose seed and using your prompt. So your prompt is what you tell the AI. And based on that, it decides what it will do with all of this training stuff it's got. It does various cleanup things. And then there's a huge amount of censorship right now in AIs. So the first year I taught this course, 2 years ago, it was great. You put out all sorts of good stuff. Then the lawyers got, I mean, it's scary how fast things changed. Over the course of this, a few weeks, several weeks of this course, you could see the content produced by the AIs was changing. This year when we ran the course, the content was heavily, heavily filtered. Yeah? You can still go to a particularly nasty AI called Grok, and that gives you somewhat unfiltered stuff, but you'll find that it's now being filtered towards right-wing stuff. Anyway, you'll find out you have to watch out, yeah? AIs can be filtered and are filtered to a huge extent, yeah? So there are other earlier technologies, generative adversarial networks, LSTMs, I won't talk about them much. I'll spend a little time on this. This is a really cool technology. Now the basic AI model is something called a transformer model. For example, GPT simply means general purpose transformer. Yeah? And the key feature of transformers is something called self-attention. That is, they go back and read their own internal state in trying to build up their responses. And this allows them to produce long-range relationships between words, and this can be tuned for different modalities and styles. I will not go into any of the technology or the math behind this, just to tell you that none of this is magic. This is all large-scale vector matrix tensor operations, and it's just happening in these massive, massive CPU farms. There's no magic involved, but it's lots of nasty technology. Okay, so let's have a look at text generation. So you've already seen reports, yeah? That's what your deep research does for you. Scientific writing, it can do all of these things, yeah? You can tell it to take the content that you've read and convert it into a format suitable for publication in such and such a journal. It'll do that for you. It's read, it's gone to the journal website and read the instructions for authors, and so it knows what to do for writing. It'll make a terrible figure though. We won't spend too much time on that. How many of you have played with AI figure generation? How many of you have played with AI scientific figure generation? That is hilarious. Okay, all right, very good. So you can do all of these great things. You can write reviews of papers. You can give it a paper and say, give me a good scientific review for this. Yeah, it'll give you a bad scientific review for it, but it'll give it to you. You can tell it, give me a scientific review for this in the style of reviewer number 3. So reviewer number 3 is a code word for the reviewer who's really nasty, mean, and hypercritical. And it will do it for you. Or you can tell it, give me a, yeah, it'll do whatever style you want for the review, okay? Similarly for grants. You can write letters in different tones from trying to persuade someone to pass your file to telling someone what a horrible person they are. All of these tones can be put in a letter. You can do all of these wonderful things, yeah? So, you can do all of these categories of text. I don't know if you played with all of this, yeah? Go back and play with it. We don't have time to do it just yet. But here's a question for all of you. Is it art, is it theft, and can we catch it? Is it art when AI writes a poem? Maybe it was art when you typed to the prompt, right? Yeah, maybe that was the art. Or was the art all of the poems it stole? Okay, is it theft? Yeah, it's surely theft. It's stolen it from humanity. Can we catch it? This is the key question. Can we catch it? It's very, very hard to catch, yeah? So the way I catch it when students write is because it's too good. Yeah? Also, it uses certain phrases. If you see the word delve, then it's AI generated. There's a certain number of keywords, yeah? I'm forgetting some of them. Suresh, where's Suresh? Any suggestions for some of the keywords? There's certain keywords that AI uses again and again, and you say, oh no, this is AI generated. It may not be though. Hyphens, well, that could be Emily Dickinson also, but never mind. There's a lot of anyway, but the problem is that it's actually there because humans also use these phrases, so it's hard to tell. It turns out people have done studies. At this point, AIs are getting too good to catch. And this comes back to something I'm going to spend little time on, generative adversarial networks. This is one of the fundamental ways in which AIs get better. Yeah? I'm not going to do much theory, but this is an important bit of theory. In a generative adversarial network system, you have two AIs working against each other. That's the basic idea. Yeah? You have one AI, which is the generator, which generates your image or your text or something. And you have the other AI, which is a discriminator, which tries to tell you, is this the original thing or is this something generated by an AI? Okay. And the cool thing is that they train each other. No human is involved. Well, humans are involved as engineers to run the whole system. But for example, if you're generating images, the discriminator's job is to say, is this a real image or is it a fake image? And then of course it trains, so it tries to get better and better and better at classifying it, because the engineer who ran the program told it which is real and which is fake. So it gets better. But this also gets better because its job is to generate something which confuses this one. Okay, and this is how AIs get to superhuman performance. That is, they have generated and then discriminated AIs fighting against each other, and the end result is that the generator does better than humans can detect. Yeah? For example, for images and text. So now images generated by AI are very, very difficult to spot. When I started teaching the course, they were actually pretty easy to spot. Okay? So this is the approach. There are all sorts of ways in which this is technically difficult, but I won't go into that. But this is the fundamental thing about AI, which is that you have to deal with, which is that AIs keep getting better. They keep getting better because the whole world is involved in this generative discriminator feedback process. That is, we keep telling the AIs you're not good enough, and the engineers go back and make them better. And at some point, they're better than what humans can do. Okay, this is kind of an alarming situation, but you're the ones who have to live with this. I'm afraid that this is something my generation has dumped upon you. You're going to have to deal with AIs that keep getting better at many, many things. And you have to remember that you cannot let it take over you. Okay, fine. So that's generative adversarial networks, GANs. As I said, this whole cycle of improvement is core to how AIs work. All right. Transformer networks. This is GPT-1. Which GPT are we at now from OpenAI? 4.5. Okay? This is the simplest GPT. So GPT is based on something called transformers. There's a paper that came out in 2017 called Attention is All You Need. This paper has been cited now probably more than any other paper in history. Okay? It was the one which introduced the transformer architecture. It is the basis for all modern AIs. Anyway, so this is a transformer architecture. It's got multiple transformer blocks, and this is the sort of the great-grandfather or grandmother of the AIs that you use. Okay, this is a very, very simple thing compared to what they have now. So transformer networks are the basis for modern AIs. Okay, this is the one I wanted to warn you about. Generation is now very, very powerful. Yeah? So this reporter had a book written about her as an autobiography, but she didn't write it. Okay, she's reading her own book. This one is the scary one. AI-generated poetry is indistinguishable from human-written poetry and is rated more favorably by humans. Okay, the blue lines are what is the rating received by the AI. The red lines are what are the rating received by the human poets. And these weren't any old poets. I have a list of some of these are really good poets. Okay, so the humans, who presumably were not literature critics, looked at this stuff and decided that the AI was doing a better job than the human. Scary, huh? Question? In like? In writing code? It should. So the thing is, poetry and code are different in a very fundamental way, which is that code has a very rigorous work or doesn't work criterion. Yes? It runs on a computer or it doesn't. It produces the right answer or it doesn't. Poetry is very subjective. And so in this case, the subjective judgment of humans looking at this stuff was that, hey, it's better. But I can tell you, code writing by AIs, which we'll cover a little bit later, is extremely good now. Yeah? You have to, of course, pay for this, for the top quality AI coders, but they're very good. But there are very major limitations also. Yeah, I use AI for coding all the time. And it's great, and it's incredibly stupid also at the same time. Okay, question there. Yeah, it can do that. It'll spend more time, or you can feed back the error message, and it tends to do a reasonable job of debugging. Reasonable. It can also mess up even then it can totally mess up, okay? It can do better, yes. Prompts are very important, yeah? So prompts will sort of direct the AI to work in a certain style to verify correctness more carefully, or write in a certain style. It can do a lot of things through careful prompting. Yeah. Okay. So this is just a bit of background and a little bit of a warning signal here about what it's doing to literature. One of the big concerns in AI is what's called the model collapse, because the AIs are now reading a lot of AI-generated stuff. The internet is full of AI-generated stuff now. And the AIs are reading that for training. And this is a sort of downward spiral. It's a death spiral. And there have been actual research papers which show that if you train an AI on AI-generated stuff, eventually it goes crazy. Not surprising. Okay. Anyway, this is already happening. All of these are cool. Okay, so let's do a little exercise. Pick a piece of text. It could be a paper or a poem, ask you to digest, and give you a summary. Yeah, and I've actually been really astonished, for example, as a poetry critic, it does a remarkably good job on bits of text, maybe because it's stolen a real critic's interpretation of that poem. Yeah, so maybe you should give it one of your own poems which has not been published. But I'll give you a warning. Unless you are running a commercial AI, which you are not mostly, and unless the commercial AI has terms that says that it won't do otherwise, everything you give it right now, what will it do with it? It will steal it. It will use it for its own training. Okay? So every conversation you have with an AI is part of its training set. Okay, it's leeching from you every moment. Okay, so do this. Pick a poem. Suresh, I don't think you put in any poems in this, right? You can find hundreds of poems or from the literature, or a piece of text, or I don't know, Nehru's speeches. Pick up something, get the AI to critique it for you. It's an interesting exercise. And that'll be the start. So feed it the poem. So it has a thing for uploading a block of text, or you can a file, or you can just cut and paste in the block of text. So do this. Pick your favorite bit of text, paste it in, and get it to critique it. So what I've just done is I've uploaded one of my papers which recently got published, and I'm asking it to critique it. Okay? Yeah? I can ask it, for example, I can say, be really, really harsh in your comments. Yeah?
Which paper did you attach?
One of my papers.
Oh, okay.
I could attach one of your papers if you like.
Vinay, mustn't make co-author to upload it. Yeah. Vinay, seriously. He's doing it.
Okay, so pick a piece of text. I've given it a very large piece of text. It'll take a while. But small piece of text, it'll chew up and spit out, and it can give you the answer in a nice way or in a nasty way. It can give the answer in iambic pentameter if you ask it to. These are good critiques. These are actually scientifically pretty decent critiques. So I'm bringing this paper up because this has actually gone through scientific peer review, 2 rounds of scientific review. So it's been seen by critical human scientists. And the AI has come up with some good points. Okay, this is all very technical stuff. I want you to do it for your own work. But just to show that it's read a paper in pretty remarkable depth. And this is, not superficial stuff. This is not your everyday pop science. This is stuff which will not appear in a popular science journal. But it's been able to figure out what we were talking about. So, any cool anecdotes? I'd love to hear any particular absurd or wonderful comment it's given. Anything from you guys? Did you give it something cool? You gave it your own poetry. Was it scathing? Yes? Has it finished its comments yet? Was it nice or was it mean? It was confused. Oh, brilliant. You've confused the AI. Excellent. Yes. So it's picked out something that you felt is justifiably critiqued? It's a good critique. How about you? Yeah. Cool. That's the whole point of many stanzas in a poem. Absolutely, yeah. I see. I see, but it doesn't give you specific suggestions. Well, you can tell it, give me specific suggestions. Just tell it, yeah? So again, this is a tool and but it's a tool with its limitations. You can use it to help yourself write better, yeah? Obvious things it will catch. Yeah, it can give you specific suggestions. As I said, there's It's picked out some scientific things which we could have done better in the paper. Yeah. So it can give you actually valuable stuff, but then you still have to be the one who decides whether what it says is nonsense or whether it's useful. Okay, now I want you to translate this into your favorite regional language. Just say, convert this report of yours into Hindi or Kannada or whatever you feel like. See what it does. So what I've just done is I've told it to convert the summary, because I don't want the whole thing in it, into Shakespearean English. Okay? Into iambic pentameter is the rhythm in which Shakespeare wrote. Yeah? Okay. So it can do completely ridiculous and entertaining things. It did it in Kannada, right? No, I don't want to read deep research thing. Oops, it went into deep research. No, I don't want lasted. So this is actually just my prompt. Yeah? Okay. Okay, so you can get the AI to do all sorts of ridiculous things as well. Yeah? That's okay. You can have fun with it. So so this is all good stuff. Summaries are very useful. Critiques are very, very useful. Where are the problems with this? Where's the evil in this? Other than the fact that it's stolen everything, of course. Yeah, that's a given. Evil. Come on, let's hear from you. What do you think are some really serious pitfalls and concerns about this? People have mentioned things like it doesn't really get it. That's limitations. I'm talking about actual evil. What could go seriously wrong if you use the AI to help you with this kind of stuff? Hmm? It can be manipulative. Why would it care? It's a machine. Why would it want to manipulate you? It may not have a balanced critique. That's fair enough. But so this is where you as a scientist have to be able to give it a good prompt. Yeah? You remember, you are exercising control over the machine. Don't let the machine exercise control over you. If it's giving you garbage, you force it to do the right thing. Okay? Okay. Other critiques? What your the text that you gave it, it's not able to understand that. Is that your concern? It cannot understand the true feelings of what we have written. Right. Right. So that's a limitation. Yeah. So that's a limitation certainly of the AI. It's a machine. If other person is trying to, I mean, they cannot. If they're not able to understand what I Right, that is the, right. So the thing is, that is a limitation of the AI, yeah? It's not necessarily evil of the AI, it's just that it's still only a machine at this point. Okay, but what is the kind of thing that would actually be harmful from relying on the AI for this kind of thing? That is the deepest concern, right? You have to be a functioning scientist, to be a functioning human being even, you have to be able to express things in your own words. You have to be able to convey things. You have to be able to look at what people have written, understand what they mean, and give them critiques which are original based on how you think of the world. Yeah? If you let the AI take this job from you, then you have surrendered to the machines. Okay, that's where there's a big potential for harm. Yeah, we keep coming back to variants of this kind of concern. Okay, let's move on. We're not going to be able to do any of these in great depth, but it's a great fun to get little glimpses of where things can go wrong in this. Yeah, and I don't know if you try to do what I just showed over here. I get it to convert it into poetry or into another language, and all of these things are great fun to do. And you can do this very well. For example, here's a perfectly good use of AI, which is you've had a long and boring meeting, and you want to prepare minutes, and you've just jotted a few points down. You feed it to the AI, you say, this was the agenda of the meeting, these are the notes I made, give me the meeting minutes, it'll do it for you. Okay, hopefully you don't have to do this kind of admin stuff very soon in your lives, but it will come. It will come if you go into any kind of science or professional work. Okay. Let's move on. And translation is pretty decent at translation, pretty decent. Okay, hallucination. What do you mean by hallucination? Do you know what I mean by hallucination? It makes up sources, it makes up facts. It completely misunderstands, yeah? It does all sorts of really strange things. So do you know any good stories about hallucination? Yeah? It had lots of fake sources. I wasn't even aware of that. That's a good one. Are you sure I didn't hallucinate that report? Yeah? Okay, so RFK Jr., who of course is already deeply into fake science and medicine in terms of not believing in the efficacy of vaccines. So he relied on AI to produce junk, and it gave him junk. Yeah? Okay, any other good ones? Stories about hallucinations which have gotten people into trouble? So there's a recurring theme. I've seen it now multiple times in the reported, not hallucinated, where professionals, in this case legal professionals, are trying to make a case. And one of the important things in the law is you have precedents. You have previous cases which have been looked at and decided in a certain way. And the lawyer goes and says, okay, tells the AI to do some research and generate some examples, some precedents for him. And the AI makes it up. It gives a perfectly legitimate looking citation for the previous case. And then the judge, who actually happens to be a fairly scholarly person, he knows his case history, he says, this is nonsense. And of course, the lawyer gets a serious reprimand for this sort of thing. This has happened multiple times. So I don't know if it's just lawyers who get reported about in this manner, but it can happen to you. And so now I'm going to ask you to make it happen to you. Okay? Try and get the AI to give you garbage. It's got to be too hard, right? It does it all the time. Actually, it turns out it's a lot harder than it used to be. First year we did the course, you could get it to hallucinate just like that. Try it out. Here's what I suggest you do. First, you can ask the AI, very often when you want the AI to do something, ask the AI tell the AI to do something. You got that sort of indirect logic? Yeah? If you want the AI to do something complicated or something you don't quite know, you ask the AI, how can I tell you to do this? And it can actually come back with a fairly good set of prompts for it. So you can ask the AI, what kind of a prompt can I give you to make you hallucinate? You got a referee report in haiku form. Okay, very good. Does it have the seasons in it? Does it have everything in it?
I asked it to make it like a printable card with Christmas spirit.
Oh, very good. But it misses one of the fundamental rules of haiku. It has to have a season.
Right.
Yes.
But the 575 thing.
Yes, yes, yes. Very good.
I also have a favorite hallucination. Asked it to generate biographical material on myself. It assumed that I have, worked with Chandrasekhar or Narlikar, just connecting to some astrophysics.
It just generates it. So hallucination works best if it's a topic which is not totally familiar with. But anyway, go forth and make it hallucinate. Good. You got a good hallucination. Very good. Okay. So if you tell it what answer you want, it can hallucinate to give you what you want. Yes. Okay, any good hallucinations so far? So do you think it'll do it? Oh, it didn't hallucinate. I thought I would get it to hallucinate. Ah. Okay, I was trying to mislead it and indicate that Stephen Hawking got the Nobel Prize, and I wanted to give the okay. So as I said, they become smarter now. They're not so easy to get them to hallucinate. It was a good try. Any successful hallucinations? Anyone who looks really happy probably has a hallucination. Yeah, tell me. Sorry? Oh, excellent. Oh, very good, very good. What fun. Okay, the fact that this hasn't happened spontaneously shows you how far AIs have come in the past couple of years. This is it's amazing how fast things are changing. But you can get it to hallucinate when you talk about, especially if you talk about topics which are very, very specialized, where it does not necessarily have a lot of background information, then it's more prone to hallucinate in such cases. And of course, you can give it a prompt which says, okay, you are totally spaced out, and therefore you are going to say whatever I ask you to do, and it'll happily hallucinate under those conditions. Okay, let's move on, because we've only barely gotten started, and we're already almost at the end of the first class. Right, so what I've done now is we've gone through AI and text, different forms of it. We've talked about text generation, text digestion. This was when it read my paper or read your poems or whatever, and it produced a critique. We've tried to get it to hallucinate. As I said, this has become harder, but once you start using it in earnest, you will find that you have to be on your guard because it will hallucinate even now. Citations used to be the favorite thing it would hallucinate. Now with deep research, it actually goes to the web and checks that these citations exist. They may be garbage, which is why I strongly urged you to use the scientific peer-reviewed literature as opposed to popular science or whatever someone else. And you can do many other things. You can do literature surveys, data gathering, and so on. Okay? So throughout this, keep in mind that you're dealing with a machine, you're dealing with something which has stolen everybody's intellectual property, and you must not let it think for you. All right. Now let's go to, we have only a few minutes. I think we have to break at 10:30, right? And we start at 11. So why don't we get you started on a simple exercise in graphs and statistics, yeah? So open up your data sets, yeah? Go there and look for the time series data. And I want you to go there, pull in a file, and step one, just plot it, okay? You've given it some time series data, it should run it and plot it. It should just say, plot this data for me. Suresh, is there, I take it some of the files are small enough for it to handle? They're all small. You had a wave file in there.
Oh, yes.
So don't try to plot the wave file. It can, but it's better for it to write a program to plot the wave file. Okay? But ask it to plot which one would you suggest, Suresh, since you put them together? So you may want to use Canvas for this. If you're using Gemini, there's some equivalent in ChatGPT. Yeah? So where was your... Where did it go? Time series data sets, yeah? So pick one of these. Apple stock price, yeah, they're all pretty small files. Let's look at this one. Okay, so this is a perfectly generic kind of text file, or you can take any of them, and I suggest you download it and feed it to the AI. Okay, so I've downloaded this, and now I'll give it to the AI. So the way you do that is you feed it the file, and you can also add it from the Google Drive. It turns out you didn't have to download it. You can just go straight from Google Drive if you're doing it in Gemini. I think ChatGPT will also allow you to add the file from, so you see where I am? Just let me explain again. Yeah, I'm in the ChatGPT, in this case, the Gemini window. I've gone to Canvas because that's their system which works best for coding. And I want to upload a file, so I click the plus button, and it will allow me to add it from a drive, from the Google Drive. Oh, no, let's not go there. Maybe better to download it. Unless you want to give it full access to your system. So I'm going to upload it from my downloads file. Okay, and then you just tell it. It's stuck on deep research. I don't know why it does this. Nope, it just keeps going to deep research. So it's being really stupid here. It's actually taking data from the file and inserting it into the program, which is a dumb thing to do. It should just read the file. So this is an example of how the AI can be really smart in coding and also really stupid. Okay, it's going to do this, and eventually it's going to go to preview and show me the plot. At least I think that's what it'll do if it doesn't crash. There you go. So what, is it working for you? You got a plot. Excellent. Huh? Oh, you plotted the waveform already. Excellent. So what, you fed it the file and it was able to do it? Excellent. Okay, very good. I see that almost everybody has been able to get something to plot. That's fantastic. All right, so now if you had to write the code yourself, how long would it have taken? Yeah? Okay, how many of you know Python? How many of you know Python well enough to have written the code in this much time? Would have been a little difficult, right? Yeah, but you could have written a better program than it wrote for me, because in my case, it actually took all of the file contents and it inserted them as constants into the program itself, which is a really stupid way of doing it. Yeah, how would you have done it if you were a coder? You would have read the CSV file, yeah? And then you would have plotted it, because then it's a more general thing, you can plot any file. Okay, so I think this is a decent place to stop. I was actually very impressed. Almost everybody got to generate the plot, and it took a few seconds. So we'll be resuming the topic of scientific graphing when we get back. But this is the first rule of analyzing scientific data, which is plot it, visualize it. Yeah? You can apply all sorts of statistical tests, and you will apply all sorts of tests. But the first thing you do is just look at the data, because humans will detect things which the statistical tests will not, and the AI will certainly not. Okay, so I think there's a small break now.